Yeah, I know, right?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're gathered today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and I extend that respect to any First Nations people here today. It's my absolute pleasure to be with you this evening. My name's Sasha Kelly. I'm Content Director at ABC Classic and Jazz, and I'm hosting this masterclass for MSO's Music and Ideas series. A big thank you to the City of Melbourne for supporting this series and Tarawara Estate for the pop-up bar. And now to our guest for this evening. Sheku Kanneh-Mason began learning the cello at the age of 6. By the time he was 9, he'd passed the grade 8 cello examination with the highest marks in the UK and had won a scholarship to join the Junior Academy at the Royal Academy of Music. In 2016, he won the BBC Young Musician of the Year contest with Shostakovich's Cello Concerto No. 1, and he went on to sign a major recording contract with Decca Classics in November of that same year. In 2020, he was awarded a Member of the Order of the British Empire in the New Year Honours for Services to Music. Since then, he's had a string of high-profile engagements, notably performing at the wedding of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. He's performed twice at the BAFTAs, and in 2023, he was the instrumental soloist for the last night of the proms under the baton of Marin Alsop. He's still in his 20s, but he's deep into an established performance career. He's appeared with the London Symphony Orchestra, the Philadelphia Orchestra, the New York Philharmonic, and last week, soloist with the Sydney Symphony. After he departs Melbourne, his appearances at the Royal Albert Hall, Barbican, and Concertgebouw as part of this current season. Those familiar with his discography would understand that he has an eclectic taste that I think really infuses his artistry with an extraordinary depth. And to illustrate this, when he was talking to Desert Island Discs a few years ago, he said the two musicians he'd most loved to meet were Mozart and Bob Marley. And he demonstrated this afternoon with my colleague Megan Burslem by showing his encyclopedic knowledge of Bob Marley's soundtracks. So I'd love you to put your hands together and make a very welcome Sheku Kanneh-Mason. Hello. Please, you take a seat. I'll duck off the stage in just a minute, but I'm just going to start by asking you a question, Sheku, because a masterclass can be a really delicate balance between creating an environment where you're sharing information with these young musicians who you've only met, half an hour ago, but then also all of us who are so curious to hear what you have to say about this extraordinary music. Do you have a philosophy when it comes to running a masterclass, or something you want us to keep in mind as an audience today?
No, you're right, it's extraordinary music. And I think the joy of just exploring that with someone else is something that, will be my focus. I don't know these students and I've not heard them play before, so I'm really, just genuinely looking forward to hearing them and the ideas that come out of that.
Yeah. An instrument is also an extension of your body, I imagine, especially as a string player. Can you tell us a little bit about the cello that we'll be hearing you play on this evening and this week?
It's a beautiful cello made by Matteo Goffrilla in 1700 in Venice, and it's an extraordinarily beautiful instrument, and I love playing it, and I've spent a lot of time with it, and so we're very close.
And you were saying earlier that they cut it down at some point.
No, it's not cut down, but often Goffrillas are. Yeah. But it's maybe on the larger and wider side. Looks quite imposing, but it has a very soulful and warm sound.
For many of us, we'll have two chances to hear you with the MSO this week, and you've brought a brand new concerto with you to premiere, Edmund Finnis, that's been written specifically for you. Can you tell us anything that we should, just to whet the appetite for later in the week? Any highlights or anything that you'd love to share with us about that work? Yeah,
it's a deeply soulful piece of music for cello and orchestra, and this week we'll be doing the Australian premiere. But I played it at the end of last year in LA, and so I've got to know it over quite a bit of time, and it's, really deeply beautiful and soulful and very moving music, I think.
Well, so many of us are so excited to hear you this week, but I won't take up any more time. Let's get into the music, which is why we're all here this evening. Our first cellist today is Ethan Chiao, and he'll be bringing the first movement of Dvořák's Cello Concerto in B minor. Please welcome to the stage, Ethan.
Brilliant playing, really, really wonderful. And I love the kind of texture in your sound, in the forceful stuff and the melodic stuff as well. I think it's really, it's really gripping what you're doing with that. So thank you. was thinking actually about the chords, the three-note chords that you have at the beginning and also just towards the end of this exposition. And that actually the ingredients of what you're putting into it could relate a little bit more to what's happening in the harmony of them. Actually, quite a lot more. If we think about da da dee da dee, bram, bri, bram, bri, bram, or each one of those chords has quite a different function, actually. And if you put the same ingredients into it, then we don't get all of that information quite as much. Do you want to play just those chords slowly and really listen to what's happening in the harmony? Yeah. So from there's quite a lot of difference actually. In there. And then the deepness of that bass note here. And then maybe kind of takes us into a different direction. There's also quite a lot of happening in the appoggiaturas, the C natural to the B. Da dee dee do dee do. Which we need to get as well. Once more, just slowly and really listening to what's happening. Yeah, if you move the bow too quickly, we slightly lose the harmony, actually.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Actually, it's a little bit sharp, actually, with that bass note. Yeah. Right, that A natural has quite a lot in terms of what it does to the function. So it'd be great to hear that actually a bit more in the balance. In general, some of the middle notes are the ones that have add the squeeziness to the harmony. It's good to listen to them again. Just once, yeah. Once more. It's fine. And try not to let the information escape towards the end of the bow. Yeah? Oh, lovely. Yeah, because if it was as, it's quite different, but which becomes the G sharp, the A, and so that's really important. Do you want to do the same with the second set of chords? I always find there's quite a lot of excitement in that final chord, because we have this G pedal. Feels like everything is going downwards. Oh. And then it opens out, and I think having that feeling of descending down and coming up, which we can kind of see on the page, the sort of physical geography of it. I think can be really enjoyed. Otherwise, it does feel like just a series of chords, but actually there's a lot more information, which I know that you can hear and feel. So it's a question of, in real time, showing us all of that information. Would be brilliant. The trills that come just towards the end of that, it looks like towards the end of your page, I think there can be loads of exploration actually in those trills, again, because of what's happening in the harmony. Exploration in terms of, the speed is our main tool of expression with the trills. Do you want to give us a really exploratory version? Maybe with the harmony as well would be great. So your default is to start slow and get faster, which works some of the time. But what if you stayed slow? Then it really feels like we're building something. I think you can be quite patient with that. I think particularly in that second harmony. And then really listen to when it actually changes, and not just speed up the trill. I think it could be cool. Try it. That was cool because it felt like a process. There was a point in which the process felt quite linear, and that's when I got a little bit bored. Because it's if something is developing but also developing at the same rate, then we start to get into a pattern, and it means that we're not forced to kind of continue to listen. So first two were great. Then maybe keep us listening and keep listening also, and I think you'll find some more things.
I think my fingers are like, they think there's a set number of trills they need to complete.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah, I see. Yeah. It's a great thing to practice. You can also have some really fast ones in there. Can also create quite a cool thing. So just explore it. But you're right. The control of it is something that you have to practice. But yeah, give us another go. And final thing is if you move the bow not at the same speed for the whole thing, that will also add another element of interest. Try once more, and you can be quite extreme with what you're exploring with fast bows and very slow ones, and so on.
So like, just more intense.
I think for the crescendo, it's great to get nearer and nearer to the bridge throughout that whole process. But the speed of the bow, you can be really quite creative with. When that's not that much. That's just one example of some of the variety you can get. You can find so many things in that just simply by changing the speed of the bow, actually. And be informed with those things by your ear and listening to what's happening in the harmony. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, great. A little bit like the trills, sometimes you start something and then the default is to speed up in order to use the whole bow. I think dare to use a quarter of the bow, and then the whole bow, and then a third of the. I think you can be quite. You don't need to use the full bow for each one of those.
Okay.
At all. I mean, it's in piano dynamic as well. It needs much at all. Then you have space to expand afterwards as well.
Okay.
Once more, yeah. great. And then just the final thing, when you're at the peak of the process, maybe you can hold us there for a little bit longer. When the happens in the orchestra. And that's going to happen if you don't do a fast bow. If you do a fast bow at the beginning and then not much is left for the end, then we don't feel that you're able to hold us.
Yeah.
Hold us there. I'm talking about the trill on the D. Maybe you can be a bit more patient with your use of bow there. Once more, this process, because it's cool. Even, I mean, that's a lot better. Could you imagine that even during that D trill, you're actually expanding even further?
Yeah.
And that's going to happen by what?
Slower bow.
Maybe. I think, in a way, the opposite.
Oh.
So if you use all the bow at the beginning, then it just becomes more squeezed rather than more expansive. And also getting nearer to the bridge during the thing, which is the opposite of what the bow wants to do, in a way, just because of the shape and so on. But yeah, really to get the maximum out of that note, I think would be beautiful, because you've set up such a wonderful process with the start of those trills, and you're exploring a lot more. I still think you can explore even further with those. But once more, and let's really go completely over the top of the hill. Once more. That was again just full bows. And for me, it's less interesting.
It feels really counterintuitive.
Yeah.
My brain's thinking one way, it's like it's opposite.
All right. Yeah, it's better. I mean, you can see the areas where you need to do some more work, but it's good. I thought the sound and the color at the start of the second subject was beautiful. It was very intimate and very touching. I wondered if you could hold on to that character actually for longer.
Oh, okay.
I understand with the E sharp that you want to show that that's a note of interest, but I felt that it kind of took us out of the character of what you've set up. Which is, what do you feel about this second subject? I heard something really nice, but I wondered what you thought.
I see it as sort of like you're sitting on like a hill and you're seeing the sunset.
Beautiful.
That kind of thing. So like, I guess very to yourself in a way.
Yeah.
A bit private, and also just like, it's like you're reminiscing or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If something is, reminiscing is a nice word and a nice way to think about it. And what's the difference between, if I'm hearing something sung from, I guess if you're looking out of sunset, it feels like the tune is quite distant in a way, or private. What's the difference between that and if it's sung right here in front of us on the stage?
Not sure. Hey.
Yeah, if I were to sing with a lot of vibrato from here, from the back of the hall, we'd hear less of actually the oscillations of the vibrato.
Yeah.
We would just hear a general beautiful sound, and I wondered if the vibrato, being so active as it was, it takes away from that kind of reminiscent quality. It also takes away from the peacefulness, I think, of this. What information do we have? We have pianissimo.
Yeah, dolce and molto sostenuto.
Lovely. Yeah. What else?
that's it. Yeah.
What key are we in?
Oh no. No clue.
No, D major. D major. Yeah. And we begin.
Sorry.
No, that's there. Don't worry. And we're in B minor is the key of the of the piece, and so on. And D major is a relative major.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of hope actually that comes from being in the relative major. That's often how I would think about it, because if we're in a minor key, generally, there's a darkness to that, there's a sadness, or there's an intensity, or there's something there, and we kind of need hope to balance out, or we kind of search for hope.
Yeah.
Then when we finally reach that hopeful place, I think it's wonderful. Generally, when we're looking for hope, we look upwards, and I felt sometimes when you were playing, you were also looking physically downwards, rather than searching for the beauty elsewhere. So that's a few things to think about with it. But I thought the colour in the first few notes was really beautiful. Just perhaps the vibrato can be less active.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I think that will give us a sense of peace. Do you want to try just straight from? That's really beautiful. Can you try once more and actually just listen to what's happening in the harmony? Because sometimes I felt like you were doing extra things that are outside of just the basic structure of this beautiful tune, which. There's something very simple and calm about that. And then it means, yes, there can be wonderful nuances within that, but we're forced to kind of listen to them rather than you just giving them to us for free. If it's private, I don't think you'd want to, be so extreme, I think, with them. But I think the best way to do that is to just listen simply to how the bass line moves and enjoy that. Mm-hmm. Can you try once more, just as a final thing, I think we have to stop soon, but once more without any vibrato, just once. I'd love to hear that. It's really beautiful and lovely, and actually I found that already more close to what the character I think is. I'm not saying to play it without vibrato, but I'm saying to come back to that the core of what it is. Again, the thing of using the whole bow I think is hindering quite a lot. Because it means that we get moments of the phrase that are just accented simply because of the practicality of getting to the heel of the bow. But actually, you don't really need to. Because it will add up at some point. I think the desperation to, or the habit to kind of always come to the heel of the bow is slightly getting in the way of the piece of the phrase. Yeah. So you can explore that some more. I wish we had more time, but there we are. It's wonderful to hear you. It's really, really, really beautiful.
and Chiao for that beautiful, beautiful playing. And I need to apologise for neglecting to introduce your colleague as well, Kevin Suerman, who's joining all the artists this evening. A big thank you. We'll bring out Flora in just a moment. But Sheku, I wanted to ask you, you would have been working with some of these pieces for quite some time now. Do you find that you're talking about how you're listening to the harmony and that's influencing the way that you interpret the work, but have you changed your mind about your interpretation of any of these pieces? Do you listen back to recordings that you made when you were, a teenager and go, I'd do that differently now?
Yeah, I don't really listen back to recordings. But yes, definitely. I think the beauty of what we do is simply to develop a stronger and stronger relationship with these pieces of music. And that's wonderful because it's ongoing and there's no finish line. And so it means, constantly reinvestigating the information that we have there, the information that's up there, and the information that's here as well. And just reinvestigating those things is constantly interesting and constantly changing, of course. It's just getting closer and closer and closer to this music.
I also noticed the way that you're working, you kind of oscillate between extremes, getting Ethan then to play with no vibrato. But earlier you were working with the trills and kind of really pushing it to the extremes to get that colour. Is that something that is in your process of learning a new work or reinterpreting things as well?
Oh. Extreme, I don't know. I think the music itself is so extreme anyway. And so it's actually, it's all kind of comes from there. And the ingredients that go into this is so vast and wide and varied. So you kind of do need to explore in that extreme way because the music, I think, demands us to do that. So that's very much my way of doing it.
I'm very excited to hear you work on the Franck next, which is with our next cellist, Flora Yang. So welcome Flora to the stage.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Really, some really beautiful things, and I thought particularly at the peaks of the phrases, I think the sound that you found was really, it was really convincing.
Thank you.
I was thinking about vibrato. That was the main thing I wanted to talk about. And I guess I wanted to ask what are the ingredients that we can explore with vibrato? Would you say?
Like the width and the
width?
speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one more, but it's maybe smaller, but can have quite a big influence. Is the depth actually of the vibrato, which is to do with the weight that we put into the string.
Right.
And there's so much we can do with those three things, and those three things in combination builds probably an infinite number of possibilities, which is wonderful and brilliant to explore. And I wondered if sometimes generally your vibrato has a nice width and quite a lot of speed and not so much depth.
Right.
And that can be, that can be a color, and that can be a beautiful color. In a lot of places, it really was. But I wondered if you could explore more explore more with quite a lot less width, actually.
Right.
And when we have a lot of less width, we have our ears are drawn more to the harmony, and that's beautiful. When we have, and there's lots we can do with speed in combination with that. And that with a lot more depth, again, means that we're able to hear the core of the note a lot more. And how that vibrato develops across a phrase, I think, is what makes it interesting. Because as I said, the sound at the peak of things, I think, was really beautiful. I just wondered if the journey there could have been of more interest. With this first phrase, let's just first look at that, and we can explore those ideas in a bit more specific examples. Just once more from there.
Do you want me to just...
Yeah. Or maybe with the first chord, it's nice. Okay, lovely. So we have four main notes. Can you just show me all of four of those notes with the color that you feel is
just
appropriate? Just without the middle, without the other notes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, what was nice about that, the F sharp had much more width and a slower vibrato, which makes sense. I mean, when you hear sopranos singing, they generally sing with a faster vibrato than a bass voice. So that variety was lovely. I wondered if, in combination with that, you could play with it a little bit more depth, actually. If you actually put a little bit more weight in the string, then the resonance is quite different. Just that F sharp. Lovely. Compare that with the top F sharp now. Yeah. And then the B, which is somewhere in between. And the B is very different to the two F sharps, because it's kind of a note that is part of a longer slur. Do, do, do. So the B is going to have quite a lot of change, actually, during it, because it becomes more. It gains depth as it goes towards the F sharp, and it comes from a higher place, and so we need to feel that difference as well. And what are we going to do about the little notes?
I think I've mainly concentrated a lot on the big notes.
Okay.
I haven't really thought a lot, but like continuous vibrato.
Yeah, I mean, continuous in the sense that I think they should be part of the process and part of the line, for sure. Otherwise, we hear just those main notes, but actually, they are what takes us from this to this. And during that process, you can think about them being part of that same thing. Do you want to do just a slower version? Because I think that will help. To move from the F sharp to the D is quite hard because of the extension.
Yeah.
Therefore, if the vibrato can be less part of just the finger and the hand, but also part of the bigger muscles as well, and so we can feel the general movement also being part of it. Try just. Yeah. So during the end of the F sharp, I would already think about my elbow coming up, which it needs to for the D. That's lovely. Yeah. And then we've got to get from that to the B as well.
That's hard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and what I find helps is really as you're playing the F sharp, as you were doing then, thinking about transitioning to the D, and then as I'm playing the D, I'm also thinking about the color of the B. And then I'm also thinking about the depth that it's going to gain in order to get to the F sharp. This is all what you'll be thinking about in practice. Eventually, it will become a little bit, a bit more automatic. But that's already interesting. Go from the beginning of the phrase with that in mind. Still at this slow tempo, I think is really helpful. Yeah, and that G sharp just lacked a function. I'm just going. Can be part of the same overall movement from the B to the F sharp. Yeah, once more. And also think about the upbeat should take us into the character as well. It feels a little bit disconnected from it as well. Yeah. That's really lovely. Our right hand can help us a lot with this as well. And so as you become, if we're gaining more depth towards the F sharp, thinking about going nearer to the bridge, for that I think makes for a nice shape. And yeah, kind of seeing the physical, as we can see on the page, there's I can see, it's all right. There's a shape to it that we can actually follow in all of the aspects of what we're doing, in the shape of the vibrato, in the shape of the dynamics, and in the shape of what we're doing with the bow. I think all of those coming together will make for a lovely phrase. Once more, because it's actually really beautiful. Yeah, slight one tiny note is now that a lot of that is really great. The B natural, I think, feels like that has more of a depth and more of an intensity than the F sharp. And maybe you can think of that being somewhere in between those two notes, and then I think it will be a lovely phrase. Yeah. Do you want to try it for real? Yeah. That's so much of that is really great. I think the upbeat is of actually a lot of interest because it goes up. Maybe there can be a bit more of a smile actually in the shape of the sound, just from the D to the F sharp. Then we come back. It's like maybe the D is the sort of surface of the water, and we come out of it. Then we're back on the surface again. And to sit just below the surface is really interesting as well, with the C sharp at the end of the second phrase. Maybe there shouldn't be so much release actually to that. There's a tension, I think, to being just below the surface. We can still see above it, but we're just sitting below it. And then the beauty of will feel wonderful. I'd love to hear more of a relationship between the C sharp and the C natural as well in that. That's wonderful. Could you just play the chords in that bar? So, yeah, wonderful. And your C sharp and C natural are the ones that are relating, I think, to those. Once more from the beginning, because it's so good. Lovely. I wonder if for that E natural we can have a vibrato that has ingredients that we've not heard up until that point. Sometimes the temptation is to release quite a lot in the long notes into a vibrato that is beautiful, but maybe has less information. Maybe you can find a color that keeps us listening to the end of the note. Yeah, and then one that exactly, because then I had to really listen, and then I was curious what your E was going to be, and then that E can be something completely different, and then the C naturals also can have a vibrato that's not that we've not heard before. Yeah, great. Just from the second phrase, actually, would be great. Second half of it, yeah. And I love going up the D string is nice, but I think take your time on the top of that, so we really hear that E, that third E as a full note. Otherwise it felt a bit non. And we're probably quite delighted to get out of the pattern of. It's not a wonderful place. I mean, it has its own beauty, but it's not necessarily a comfortable place to sit. So when we're finally out of it, I think there's a delight to that we could hear. From there? The first one, yeah, why not? And yeah, I would, if you really have a strong imagination of what the E is going to sound like, I think you'll get there very easily. But I mean like a really strong imagination of the delight and the beauty and the color of that E. Before you shift up to it, I think that will help. Maybe not, but I'm almost certain it will. From there? Well, let's just listen to that bar with the G sharp once more. Could you play it just slowly with the piano and listen actually what happens in that note? Sorry, the bar before that. No, I mean not what you're doing, but listen what's happening in the piano. Particularly the second beat, I think that's of great interest. And once more, now we know what's happening, and I think the vibrato should be very alive to that. Nice. And then the same with that bar that we just got to. A similar thing happens in the harmony. Try not to let any of that information escape from the bow, i.e. by using a bow that's suddenly faster, unless there is something sudden happening. The color of the after that long G sharp was wonderful. Do you want to go just from there? Wonderful. I wondered if the third G sharp that you have out. I think to go up there is a really beautiful bit of writing. And it felt like the color of that was a little bit floaty, actually. I think it just lacked a lot of depth, actually, in the left hand. I think that will bring a sort of light, a quality of light shining on it that I think was missing. Once more, just from the same place. It's better. Try not to then try to allow the bow to also respond to that in a similar way. Because then that G sharp that comes there has a completely different feeling because it has a different function to the one that we've just had previously. And us as the listener will be able to track all of those relationships. And if we hear something that relates to something before but we've shone the light on it differently, I think that can be really beautiful. I think keep exploring in this way. But it's wonderful playing, really, and so thank you. Thank you.
Thanks to Flora. That's the first movement of Franck's Sonata in A major. Sheku, I wanted to pick up, I thought that was so fascinating, the way you were talking about vibrato there. I have to admit, I'm not a string player myself, so I've always thought of vibrato more how vocalists do, which is it's almost like a fingerprint. It's intrinsically yours. But the way you were just describing it then, it's clear to me that it's so intentional, and there's so much work you can do as a string player to develop your approach to the sound. Do you find that you still have an approach to vibrato that's uniquely yours, or does it really dramatically change from piece to piece?
Yes, I think there is perhaps like a realm or a range of vibrato that I enjoy. I think actually the important thing is that there is a range and there is a variety. That can be within a vocal type, for sure. But I think it's important that, that the vibrato feels exploratory and appropriate to whatever situation it's in. There's so many things, even within the difference between a slight change of speed and oscillation and all those ingredients working together. I think you can get a lot from just adjusting very small things as well.
Yes, because it seems really obvious, and then you pointed it out, but of course, because the cello has such a huge range, right from the bass clefs right through the treble. So when we think of that sound in other instruments, you might have a smaller range that you can choose from. Just when you were explaining how you think of a soprano with fast, high, and versus a bass sound. Do you ever hear singers and think, oh, I'm going to steal that? Or other instruments?
Yeah. I mean, it's great to hear other singers and other instrumentalists that kind of fuel a toolkit of inspiration. Someone who does this concept almost as a rule is Jascha Heifetz, the violinist, wonderful violinist. And as he goes up, he almost always speeds up the vibrato, and lower down the instrument, it's always almost slower and wider, and it makes for a beautiful shape. But yeah, if you listen to Heifetz, you'll notice that.
Excellent. I love those little tips. Well, we're on to our last performer for this evening, so please put your hands together and a warm welcome for Ryan Chu, who is playing Dvořák's Silent Woods.
wonderful. It's really, it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
And such wonderful music played very sensitively. So,
thank you.
No, thank you. Don't thank. Really, really, some gorgeous colours and so on. One very small thing that. It's small. It's before you begin the C sharp minor section, and also you began at the beginning. I noticed you like tap to hear the A flat or G sharp, and I think it's out of habit because you know where the note is, and I think the only reason I bring that up is because the danger of doing that is it's sort of one, it's distracting for us, and because we hear the note before you've played it, and it's sort of, it's distracting in that way, but also it means that you're not simply having an imagination of what it's going to sound like and playing it. You're kind of, checking and being unsure. And it's a very easy thing to fix, actually. Just don't do it. Yeah. No, but I mean, in a serious, I mean, there is also, I think, the value of really, and I notice a lot of cellists do it. The opening of the Dvořák is a classic. Da, 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 da. And it's like, actually we know where that note is, and there's a sort of, safety and a comfort thing. But it's best to not do that and just imagine what it's going to sound like and just play it. And it will still be there. It will be there tomorrow, it will be there the day after. So don't worry, don't worry about that. That's just a small thing. But my main thing actually was, I wondered if some of the intonation is good, but I just wondered if it could be more specific, actually.
In what way?
If we think about this descending melody at the beginning, how all of those notes relate to what's happening in the harmony. My main thing was actually the F naturals and B flats were a little bit sharp. And they weren't actually, they were sharp in the sense that I think they would be much warmer if they sat lower. And the reason I say that is because they're often the third of the chord, the major third of the chord. And sometimes they were a little bit bright. And so it took away from the kind of peace of this, and depth of this key that is D flat major. And so they're the two kind of main notes that stood out to me. But in general, even in this descending line, I wonder if they could all be really intentional and impotent to do with, because that's a big part of the colour, I think, of the sound, is actually where we place the note, and we have the luxury of choosing when we play a stringed instrument, and so we can be really quite specific, and small details can make, I think, a beautiful difference. Do you want to try just from the beginning, and we'll think a bit about that. Lovely. Even for me, the D flat, which is the main and the root note, is really important, intonation-wise. And for me, it's a little bit above the note, actually. I wondered if you could really listen to the depth of this D flat major chord in the piano and sit inside the resonance of it rather than above it. It's not out of tune, by the way. It's like it's really sitting in the center of it. That's beautiful. You hear and feel the difference. That's good. That's golden. That's golden. Exactly that. And then the C natural is a really beautiful and interesting note to have as the second note of a melody, to have a leading note, and to descend down from it. There's something about a leading note that feels like it's always reaching upwards, but to descend down is sort of like we're trying to remain in this beautiful D flat, and we'll be pulled down by something. If the intonation could tell us that. Yeah, I know you guys. You can hear can hear it sometimes. The B flat was wonderful. The one with the G flat major chord. I thought the F natural that follows. I'm talking do, do. Make sure that that's low enough in the F natural, low enough in the intonation, because that's a note of peace, which then becomes a note of a different kind of interest. But I think it begins peacefully. So if you can set up the intonation of that, I think it'd be wonderful. Once more, because I think you're already listening in a much more specific way. So it's not that things were right or wrong in the playthrough. I think it's a level of listening. But yeah, once more. That can feel like a bigger interval, actually. It's quite a way to descend. I'm talking about from the C natural to the. I don't know how it's written. Actually, I've never looked at the score, but C natural to A natural. Maybe it's written as something else. But the C natural feels quite close to the D flat, and the A natural also feels close to the A flat. So that means that interval is going to be quite wide, actually. And I think you can enjoy the wideness of that. So that's the kind of last bit of stretching of this phrase. And we're back there. But I think it can be. I mean, it's slightly. Exaggerating maybe, but actually there's wonderful colour to really feeling that interval strongly. Once more and then I'll go on. Lovely, and if you are going to slide from the D flat to the C natural, I think it's nice to not stop the vibrato at the end of the D flat. Otherwise, it feels like you're sliding, but actually they're not connected. I think you can keep it going. So that it feels like the vibrato is developing throughout the phrase, rather than being something that's put on each of the notes. Does that make sense? Just once, yeah, because I love that fingering. I think it's beautiful, and there's so much between the D flat and the C. We did say that they're quite close intonation, but still, I mean, there's a lot inside there that I think you can enjoy. And in general, that was a sort of also another general thing, was this, the idea that sometimes notes come as a surprise and are not necessarily a development of the previous note. But in a lot of melodic phrases and a lot of these phrases, I think they are developing into each other. And I think the vibrato sometimes felt a little bit isolated with each note, rather than continuing in the way that we just explored. Then I wanted to look at the middle section as well, because I like it. It's great. But I was thinking about the quality of the being a little bit more spoken. And by that, I mean a greater variety of timing. I think if that were to be a sentence, I don't think they would be equal words. I don't think in any sentence the words are equal. And I think that there is something about the way this melody moves around. I think there can be quite a lot of subtle exploration, I think, in that. So it feels a bit more like talking. Because I think this is the point where if we've set the scene of this wood, then maybe the animals are having a bit more of a conversation. Oh, did you hear? It's a bit like gossip, in a way. Gossip's a bit, but you know what I mean? There's a chattering quality, and then there's a love story, or something about love when we have the melody, but in sixths. Generally, when something is harmonized in thirds or in sixths, I think it's about love of some kind. It's kind of a duet of two voices moving together. And I think you could enjoy that a bit more lovingly as well. Do you want to go from just this middle section? And I think we're spreading gossip. Why not? Beautiful. I think if all of that was nearer to the bridge, actually, we'd get a bit more of that information. And the simple thing of having the same thing, but the bass line moving up. I think the seed that you've planted on the first G sharp becomes more interesting as the bass line moves up. And then it explodes into this chatter. I mean at the bridge because I lose the end of that phrase, actually. It doesn't mean that the end of the phrase needs to be louder, but so I have the shape, but just within something that's got a bit more core. It's greatly different. Ends kind of where we begin. But I think there's there's a delight, and there's a love, and there's a wonder that I think could be a lot more. I wondered about this phrase beginning on the D string and ending on the G string. I mean, it's not... It's fine, but... Then it feels like it's part of the same voice. So I wondered if you tried it from the beginning of the phrase. There's a wonderful quality and colour that you can get from the G string that I think could be interesting. And very different to... which is great. Yeah. Spreads. And I think when you interact with that, I think it's the kind of interaction of, I don't know, you're hearing the birds chatter up there and you're speaking to them rather than talking to us anymore, actually. I think it's purely a conversation that happens here or over your shoulder. But yeah, this quality on the G2 I think is great. It's nice, no, it's nice. Once more from there. This is, again, I think there could be a greater variety, actually, of how metrically long the notes are. I think it's quite it's conversational and it's improvisatory. And if it feels too in the... And I wouldn't worry about being with the cha-cha at all, actually. It's going to keep going, whether you're with it or not. And I think it's, in a way, doesn't make sense for everything to line up so much. There's wonderful recordings of the Bohemian String Quartet, which is a string quartet in Prague, who I think played Dvořák when they were young as a quartet, and they're wonderful to listen to. And quite often they're really like not together at all. Cellist will be doing his own. I mean, it can be such that they're really, but there's a wonderful beauty to their chaos, because what it means is that we actually hear the individual parts much more clearly. If everything lines up so much in the grid, then there's actually not the point of having all of these different parts. Has its role. And the singer also has its role, which is over there, and the chatter is happening over there, and the birds are... You know, I mean, I think if all of those things are happening actually not so together with each other, then we get to hear them as what they are. And so I'd listen to that quartet and you'll see what I mean. It's chaos, but it's brilliant and it's beautiful. There's recordings of Dvořák quartets and so on. But this is an example. I think you could be super untogether. Try a version where it's like, yeah, but informed by the beauty and the shapes of what's happening, and for it to be kind of conversational. Yeah, it's from somewhere. Yeah. This is great, and sometimes I think you can be. This is beautiful. I think it's absolutely what it is. I think sometimes sometimes it's polite to listen to the end of someone's sentence. Sometimes you haven't got the patience for it, and I think that's also fine. You know what I mean? I think sometimes what you've got to say is more interesting, actually. And then maybe because of that, you're taken aback and you... And then back up. Yeah. I think that makes the conversation really alive. That was beautiful what you were doing in the rubato. Do you want to do that one final time because it was gorgeous, and that's a wonderful way to end. At the end of da-da, we have something in thirds. So you do come together and agree for a brief moment, and then, it's going to be brilliant. It's going to be really, 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 really cool. Thank you so much.
Please join me. We'll keep the applause going for Sheku. Thank you so much. That was really Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I hope you can agree that was such a privilege. Please, one more round of applause for our wonderful cellists, Ethan, Flora and Ryan, and a big thank you to Kevin Suerman as well for working with these artists. A reminder that you'll be able to hear Sheku, put all of this magic to work with the MSO this week, Thursday night and Saturday afternoon. And thank you so much for being a warm and attentive audience this Tuesday evening. One more thank you for the City of Melbourne for supporting Music and Ideas and Tarawora Estate for the pop-up bar. Take care, and thank you for spending your evening with us. Good night.